this is Jared from Authentic Soundware, and I'm so excited today to finally give you a look at our latest Kontakt library, the Commodore. This is a continuation of our approach to creating authentic sounding virtual instruments that are specific to a particular genre or style. This time we're in the world of classic soul and R&B from the mid-1960s, in the vein of music from Motown and Stax Records, in the playing style of great players like the Funk Brothers, Steve, the Colonel, Cropper, and Cornell Dupree, and many others. For this library, we sampled a vintage Telecaster guitar, but we did it in a way that's highly specific to the guitar parts you would find in music of that style. The guitar was recorded direct through my restored Altec tube mixer. You can see one behind Barry Gordy in this picture of the Motown control room. It gives you a classic Motown sound out of the box, but since you recorded direct, it also gives you the flexibility to use the library with your favorite amp modeler. The Motown stuff, generally from that era, the guitars were recorded DI with no amp. If you're going for something more from the Stax school, Steve Cropper, I believe, from what I've read, generally played through either a small Fender of some kind. It was a Champ or a Harvard, depending on the era. This library really is something that falls into the category of instruments I always wish I had as a busy media composer who is not a guitarist. I've tried to put everything into this library that I always wanted, and I hope it's something that you're going to find both creative and inspiring, but also just really useful day in, day out. One of the aims was to combine the ease and the sort of inspiration that you can get from loop-based production, but with the flexibility and control of a full playable Kontakt multi-sample library. To that end, the library includes 5 instruments, some of which are loop-based and the others are multi-sample instruments. For multi-samples, we have a playable chord articulations patch. We have a playable octave strumming patch. We have a melodic patch for riffs and solos and melodic fills and things like that. Then there's 2 loop patches. There are chord patterns, and then there's octave strumming patterns. The chord loops are inspiring building blocks for putting together your own songs in this style, and they are sampled in all 12 keys with a lot of variety, so you can really do a lot with them. But if you don't find something in the loops or you want to supplement them, you have the full multi-sample patches with over 4,000 chord samples to customize or make your own pattern with your own groove exactly the way you want. An important note is that this library requires the full version of Native Instruments Kontakt version 6.7 or higher. It won't work with the free Kontakt player. So I'm going to take you through all the instruments right now, but this won't be a technical tutorial. I'll do another longer, more in-depth walkthrough video of all the features and how to use them. But for now, we're just going to be having a listen and quickly checking out what's included, and look for that other video for all the details. First off, I've just pulled up one of the demo tracks that you can hear on the website, and I thought I might just play that through to give you a sense of it. It has the playable chords patch doing the rhythm guitar part, and then there's 2 instances of the melodic patch. One's doing a sort of the lower riff at the front, and then a second instance comes in that's handling this sort of melody and solo that comes in the second half. So let's just take a quick listen to that. So I'm going to pull up this a fresh instance of the chords patch. the playable chords. And this was really the thing that got me going on this project. It has over 4,000 samples of specific chord voicings in all 12 keys in 11 different chord types or inversions. And you can use this to really quickly put together very convincing soul rhythm guitar parts. So let me just play through some of these real quick, a little bit out of context. But so we have the shorts down. So we have the shorts, downstroke. DS stands for downstroke. US stands for upstroke. So we have dedicated down and upstrokes for a number of these articulations. So here's just, I'll just quickly play through them all. Here's the shorts. So that would be like your basic backbeat. Same thing with an upstroke. The medium. Medium upstroke. The fat length. So that's kind of, I put it on the dominant 7. That's kind of what I was picturing you using that one for. Then we have the longs. This was sort of really for like the end of a song or like a pause that might happen. Then we have the rake. So that's like a softer kind of thing. We have the scoop. So this is like approaching the chord from a semitone below with a little, slide up to it. And we have that for every chord type and every inversion. So that's pretty fun. So if you combine that, with you can make a bit of part there. Then we have falls. And then these are like really important, these little muted things here. This is kind of your engine. When you listen to a part like this, if you work with a live guitar player, it's full of noise. The part, like, he's just doing backbeats on 2 and 4, and then there's all this other stuff, and that's like really important to it. So we have, round robins of muted downstroke and upstroke, and we actually sampled them per pitch because the strings, even though they're totally muted, they resonate at a different frequency. So yeah, you would kind of like, if you were doing backbeats, you would sort of bare minimum be doing like, sorry, goofed there, but once you start getting to like high energy rhythmic patterns, you really want that for the, I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff. Then we have some transition noises. These are like for between different chords. Just subtle noises that kind of are on a round robin. And then there's a number of unpitched like slides for getting in and out of phrases. So you can sort of add those to taste to like get in and out of different parts and sections and stuff like that. So now I didn't really go through all the chord types there. So let me play the different chords. So I'll go to the medium. So you have your basic root position major. Then you have first inversion, second inversion, major 7. Then you have minor root position, first inversion. Whoops, what did I do there? I went to second. Oh yeah, first inversion, second inversion, minor 7. And then what else do we have? We have dominant 7. And we have dominant 7 sus4. I don't want to get too technical here. We're just trying to listening, but I'll just tell you that there are two ways to select the chord that you're going to play. Like basically, you can probably see I'm in the detect mode, which means that I'm just playing chords just normally in this key range here, starting on this low C, right, or the 2 octaves right below middle C. And it's almost guitaristic. I'm like fingering the chords with my left hand and strumming them rhythmically with my right hand, although I'm doing it on a MIDI keyboard. This is my preferred way of doing it, as long as there's enough of a gap between each note I'm playing that I can fit that in. If you are doing something like really high tempo, we have a way of adjusting the buffer speed for how quick you have to get that chord in. If you're like a sort of slower at voicing the chords, you could set this higher, but that might cause problems at a really fast tempo that's with a really active part. But if you're doing a more basic thing, it would be totally fine. You can also go to key switch mode, where essentially you just have one key switch is setting the root. So if I play up here, I'm choosing the root, but the chord type is staying on a dominant 7 here, as you can see. And then the other purple chord keys are changing the chord type. So that's like instantaneous for really active parts. Or if you're just really just going to be, so often you're just going to be on major triads, right? So I'll go into this instrument in more detail in the other video, but well, you know what? Before we go, let me just pull up the rhythm part from that demo track we had before. We could just listen to this isolated to hear how one of these might sound once it's all put together. So that gives you a sense of like how I put it together. You hear the little muted things. It's not super fancy, but it sounds so real because it's like the right chord voicing, recorded the right way, with the right articulations. It's the right note length. That stuff is just really hard to pull off any other way in a convincing way, in my opinion. So that's a quick look at the playable chords. We'll be coming back to this idea in a little bit with the chord loops, which is another way of putting this kind of thing together. So just to keep it moving along, let's go to the next of the 5 instruments, which is the octaves playable. So, okay, so this patch is relatively similar to the one we just looked at. It's just simpler because we only have one chord type, the octave. So there's no chord detection. We just have some key switches in the bottom where you choose the pitch that you'll be using. Like it's sort of intended for a pedal tone, like you would hear in a more late 60s, 70s style of production. And so you pick a note. Say we pick A flat, and then you just strum away on the strum keys the way you do on the chords. We have longs, up and down, short, ghost notes, falls, little rises, and you can have a lot of fun with this. You can go up high. You can see why we kind of only did one octave. You're pretty high up there, and then since you're in octaves, it's a more limited thing. So again, we have a loops version, like sort of companion to this. This is the one to use for making your own custom patterns and rhythms and stuff like that. I don't think there's much else to add here. Oh, I didn't mention this at the beginning. For each articulation, you can adjust the volume independently. So say, especially like maybe with the ghost notes, you may want them to be really audible or not that audible. So now you have, completely independent control over each articulation. Okay, so let's move on to the melodic patch. So here we have the melodic patch. For lack of a better word, this is for playing single note. Well, this is for playing riffs, melodies. If you need to, create some chord that we didn't cover. This is just a fully multi-sampled guitar with different dynamic levels and 18 different articulations. Yes, 18. Why? Good question. Why do we do 18? Because it's all these little extras that are sprinkled in here and there in your track that really give the performance, personality and authenticity. So the way now there's a lot going on in this interface, but it's not as complicated as it looks. You have these 5 sort of main core articulations, and then there's all these others, what we're calling momentary articulations. So if you're familiar with using a key switch from other instruments you may have, there's usually what's called a latching key switch. You play the note, and until you play the next key switch note, that remains the articulation you're using. So here's a sustain. So that's our sustain latching. So it's not going to change. Now, if I play one of these using the key switches, the octave below, it won't play this articulation unless I'm holding down the key switch. So it's non-latching. So I'm going to play a C0 and hold it down, and you'll get this grace note. Okay? As soon as I let go, we're back to sustain. So this makes it really easy because you're not going to be using these that much, I don't think. You're just going to mainly be doing sustain or legato or whatever, and you just want to throw in these little extras here and there to spice it up. So this seemed like the best way to go about it. Because there are so many articulations, we ended up mapping the playable range of the guitar perhaps an octave higher than you might think. It's in its written range rather than its sounding range. So anyways, enough yap. Let me just play through some of this. So the sustains. Staccato. Palm mute. Then we have 2 legato modes. The first one is a sort of more standard hammer-on and pull-off style legato. And we've sampled up to the range of a major third. So if you play overlapping notes within that range, up or down, it'll trigger a hammer-on or pull-off, if you're going down, type of transition sample. Then we have legato mode 2, which we actually did in Space Age Rhythm. This was really popular, and I think it's really fun. It's a kind of a specialty articulation, but it can really add a lot. This is where the transition is actually a finger slide up the fretboard, and then the note gets reattacked. So it sounds kind of like this. You can change the speed of that transition by turning this knob here. So let me play you through some of these other articulations here. We have the grace notes, minor second, major second, trill. This is supposed to be kind of like a Cornell Dupree, like if you're sort of like, so let me give you an example here. I'm going to go to sustain. I'm going to play a chord, but only play the grace note on the trill on the top note. We have the major second trill. So, bends down a minor second. Up. Up a major second. Sorry, I'm playing some sloppy stuff here, but you're hearing the articulation. Falls, fall long, rise. What else do we have? Oh, we have a couple specialty keys here. We have our release trigger. So say you played a note, say you're in legato mode 1. Add a fall to an already sustaining note or notes. Whereas this legato, so it's monophonic. But if it was more than one note, they'll both fall. So you can time the fall exactly the way you want. And we have the long and the short. What's this one? Oh, yes, this is our dedicated upstroke key. So we recorded downstroke and upstroke samples, but it was feeling really weird to sort of force that upon you in some kind of alternation scheme or script or whatever. Especially in this style, you're just like so often going for the downstroke. So if you need to have an upstroke at a particular moment, you hold down this orange key and it turns it to an upstroke. And then we have these repetition keys. Now the repetition keys also give you access to the upstroke. So if you play a note, whatever last note you played, and you played it as a downstroke, if you play this repetition key, it'll play it. If you play the C sharp repetition key, it'll play it as an upstroke. So you can get that kind of alternating, and you can actually do that with the staccatos as well. And the palm mutes. It doesn't work in the other modes, but it'll let you know if you try to do that. You can't use it with legato because it would mess up the script. Okay, so I think that's a quick look through all of that. Why don't we maybe take a listen to our demo track material for this? There are many more demos on the website, but let's listen to, this is, I think, the driving riff part. That's the, sort of classic Motown kind of feel. And then let me go to the part with the solo. Maybe I'll put in some of the other stuff just for a little bit of context. Because it might not really know where you're at. But so this uses a lot of the momentary key switches. You'll see the white arrows come on whenever they're being employed. Okay, so that gives you a sense of that. Okay, so just hang tight, and I'm going to go to a different Pro Tools session to show you some of the loops. We've also included a bunch of loop content, and these loops were made not just to be a sort of one repeating loop that just goes over and over again in your song, but that you can stitch together in a way to make songs that go somewhere. You have like all the chords you need. You can go to a bridge. You can mix up the pattern. You can have an ending. You can have an intro. You can have a turnaround or breakdown, and all kinds of different stuff. And you can put it together really quickly. So let's listen to some of it. Now, basically the way this works is you have to choose the chord type that you want and the chord root. So we're kind of back in that mode. You're going to choose a pattern down low. You pick the chord type, so by that I mean major, minor, and then you actually play the loop and set its root key in the blue area up here. So say we have our basic backbeat here, this 2 and 4, okay? Let's set it to major, and now I'm just going to play a middle C, and we'll hear our pattern. So that's like a 2 and 4 backbeat. Now we would just play an F to hear it in F. And so on. You can change you can change the pattern, you can change the chord type. We have major 7. We don't have all the inversions, so we have one version for the triads, the major 7, minor triad, minor 7, dominant 7, and dominant 7 sus 4. So let me quickly play through all the patterns just a little bit for you to hear. So we had the basic backbeat that you heard before. Then we have the long. This is more like just a longer note length on the backbeat. Then we have the scooped. An alternate. Then we have another alternate. These are all like that backbeat is so key to this style. These are just multiple versions where the backbeat is the primary, mover, but there's little spicy things in between just to make it feel live. So where were we? Alt 2. So what else? So relaxed groove. rhythmic groove. Oh, the turnaround. We have another just sort of creative pattern here. I called it Detroit Sun. What's this one? What's left? We'll go back to major chord. And soulful groove, you'll probably. Now let me just mention something. You may notice this little button here called Loop Legato. This allows you to go between different chord types, chord roots, chord patterns, but maintain the position within the loop. So if you play in a sort of legato style, meaning you play with overlapping notes with no gap between them, the play position will remain unaffected by your new note. So you can get creative with this. You have to sort of do it strategically and change loops sort of where there's a gap between notes. But for example, with this one, let's see how this might work. So you see how I'm like, it really multiplies your option. That's a lot more interesting than just sitting there on one chord. And I can change between patterns too. So I could start here. So you can add a lot more variety and sort of make your own thing with it. There's a couple little things you need to know about this. So if you're planning on using this, check out the other video that's going to show you how to really make the most out of this. Let's just say that. So then the last one is basically the same idea. It's just octaves. It's not chords. So let's listen through some of this loop content. The first one is called Energetic Pedal. Then we have a breakdown type pattern. Intro. Turnaround. It's just steady quarter notes. Then we have like a rise. So that's just to get you into the downbeat of a song maybe. And it is tempo syncable. It's like a 4/4 bar or it's 4 beats, but the intended downbeat is actually in the middle of that loop. Where was I? Okay, then we have a long. just intended to, maybe be at the end of a phrase. So like, a short, same thing. Just wanted to put it all in one patch for you. So if you're using these loops to put something together, you don't have to load up another instance just to like put a last note on your song. And last is a fall. So that's a quick run through of the content that's included with the library. I encourage you to check out all the demos on the website. And if you want to learn more, there's going to be another video where I really go through all the details of how to put something together. There's other options and things that we didn't get to in this video. So please let me know in the comments if you have any questions or feedback, or just send me an email through the website. I would love to hear from you. And I hope you enjoy checking this out. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.